And welcome to Self-Care Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy weekend. If you're in the US, happy Memorial Day weekend. As you know, I am Alexa Hancha, a functional health, nutrition, and stress management coach, here to help you really have a little bit more self-care, especially on Sundays, but in general. And I really help empower women to find their energy and find clarity on what lifestyle habits really work for their body and which ones don't. And today I am here to talk about inflammatory foods. And this might be a topic that you've heard before or haven't heard before, but inflammatory foods, there are really 8 main types of inflammatory foods that really affect our bodies and our systems. And inflammation in our body is what leads to stress on our body. So by being able to have an idea of what foods are causing your system inflammation, you can really make a measurable difference to your body. And as I have said, we are going to be talking about, there are 8 different types, but today we are just going to be talking about 3 different types of inflammatory foods. The other 5 I go into detail on in Ace Your Stress, my 6-month group program, which is open for enrollment today and tomorrow through 11:59 p.m. on Monday. And today we're going to dig into, again, as I mentioned, 3 inflammatory foods, and give a couple of examples of them. I want to see if you're surprised by any of them. And then, as I mentioned, the other 5 main ones we really dig into in Ace Your Stress. And not only do we review what all 8 of them are in Ace Your Stress, but more importantly, what do you actually do with that information? And we talk about how those might affect your body and not affect your body, and how you can figure out which ones affect your body. And I give you a step-by-step action plan of how you can figure that out. So let's go back to today, focusing on 3 of our inflammatory food types or food groups. So some of these might not be a surprise to you. I'm hoping there's at least 1 or 2 of them that are, though. So first and foremost, the first one is gluten. And gluten is something that you can find in a ton of different foods. Really thinking about anything that is wheat-based. It's in a lot of processed foods, and the 8 types of inflammatory foods cause some type of reaction in about 95% of all people. So that's a lot, and by kind of focusing on those 8, you're able to kind of give a good gauge of where you're at on the spectrum for these different types of 8 foods. Now, going back to gluten in particular, let me know in the comments. Give me a hashtag live, give me a hashtag replay. Do you like gluten? Gluten-based foods. So think about your wheats, think about your pastas, your breads, your processed foods. And are these something that you've paid attention to before when you're eating them? Have you noticed any discomfort, whether it be, headaches or bloating or indigestion? Couple different things to consider with your gluten response. And so that is our first food. The second food is going to be dairy. Dairy is another one of the inflammatory foods that can be causing some type of response in your system. And when I say some type of response, I am talking here about you can have an allergy. the most severe form. You can have you can have an intolerance, which is kind of in the middle, and then you can also have a sensitivity. So there's different variations on your reactions to these different types of foods. And obviously dairy is going to be anything that is cow milk based. So your cheese that is, dairy based, or that is cow milk based, and your milks, etc. Now obviously with the dairy there is a lot more alternatives out there than there have been in the past, but again, dairy, number 2. Number 3 is inflammatory oils, or the third one that I'm focusing on is inflammatory oils. So when we're thinking about inflammatory oils, think about your canola oil, think about your sunflower oil, think about your safflower oil. I think I said canola, but also your soybean and soy-based oils. So these are oils that are used in a lot of, especially processed foods, and especially if you're eating out, because they're a lot less expensive. And the reason that, they're inflammatory to the body is they usually are highly processed oils, and they just don't always sit well in our systems. There are a lot of different alternatives to some of these, and again, the ones that I mentioned are your canola oil, your safflower oil, your sunflower oil, your soybean based oil, and there's a few options that you can do. Obviously, you've got olive oil. This is not a inflammatory oil, as long as you're getting it below its heating point. So you want to make sure that it's not going rancid when you're cooking it. So it should be kind of used underneath a 400 degrees. You've also got avocado oil, which is a great option because it can be used up to like 550 degrees Fahrenheit. So it can be used for a lot of high heat items, as well as coconut oil is another great option that's not usually inflammatory for most people. And again, that isn't, everyone is unique. So the options that I'm giving are kind of general options. But as I said, in Ace Your Stress, we really dig in deep to each of these individual inflammatory type foods. And again, we only mentioned 3 here. So the gluten, the dairy, and the inflammatory oils. There are 8 main ones that we do focus on. And then also kind of a side group, which is not really a food group. So I'm not calling it an 8th one, but it is also something else that causes a lot of inflammation in the body. And in Ace Your Stress, we really talk about how can you figure out, what works for you and which of these foods is causing you issues in your system. And I help you each step of the way in order to, really make sure that you're getting what you need and really making a difference for yourself. So again, give me a little in the comments, #live, #replay, which one of these 3 inflammatory food types surprised you, if any of them. Is dairy, gluten, or the inflammatory oils something that you had heard about before or not heard about before? And let me know in the comments, are you excited or interested to hear about the other 5 and the subfood type that, really cause about 90% of people issues in their systems, and how you can really bring that information and do something about it to make a change for yourself and make a change for your health. Again, I am Alexa Hanchap. Ace Your Stress, the 6-month group program, is open for just a few more short days for enrollment. So make sure you jump in today. I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. And I am so excited to see all of you very soon. Thanks, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.